and we break above twice. So this is what confirms the break as being a strong break to the upside. It is being supported by buyers. So what do I mean by being supported by buyers? So what we see is we see these aggressive buyers, right? We see positive delta here, here, here. We see a lot of positive delta that is being rewarded with follow through. Follow through meaning we break above the level. What's also interesting is aggressive buyers are succeeding, but also aggressive sellers are failing, which means there's passive buyers propping up in this zone, right? So all these aggressive sellers over here, they've been essentially exhausted. They haven't been rewarded. They've been exhausted. They haven't been successful, which means that the zone itself is being supported by passive buyers. So this is what's important to understand. This is the fundamental shift I'm trying to make in the industry, where if you understand who is in control at key levels, you're less likely to blame psychology for not having an edge, which is the biggest pet peeve of mine having the industry. If you can read buyers and sellers at key levels, I'm not saying you'll have a perfect strike rate or 100% win rate. You never will. No one does. But if you cannot read buyers and sellers at key levels, or you're relying on anything else other than buyers and sellers, that is not a psychology problem that you're up against. That is a strategy problem, right? There's a difference between the two. So now if I clear the charts up a little bit, what you can see, I'm going to label this, is we see a passive buyer over here. We see a passive buyer, and that's what you want at key levels, right? So passive buyers are different to aggressive buyers. You don't see any passive buyers on the delta footprint charts, right? Passive buyers are for you to dissect and understand based on price action. So here, when you see a lot of negative delta and you see the markets moving higher on 2 occasions, that shows you the negative delta, or the aggressive sellers, haven't been rewarded in price, right? When they don't get rewarded, that shows you that buyers are in control. Now from here, we see the same thing over here essentially, right? So this is the second thing we're going to look at. So this is the retest. This wick here, this is the retest, and so I'm going to label that again in red. So why am I labeling that in red? So this is the level, and your entry was just over here. So long position as we break above here. You can have your stop loss here, or ideally below these wicks, and we did go for a 1-to-1, I believe, right? Just over a 1-to-1. Now, in order for you to get long at 1020, you want to understand your break and then your retest. So we're focusing on the retest here. Now, the retest is even more interesting, right? Because the retest itself is significant. Because what's happening here is we see a lot of aggressive sellers, right? We see 23 for 0, 271 for 29, right? 271 for 29, a lot of aggressive sellers failed to break below the level again. So what we see over here is we see passive buyers propping price up. We see aggressive sellers failing, which means passive buyers prop price up again. This is what indicates to us that buyers are in control of the price, right? And that is why we had the markets shooting higher the way it did.